to the biggest game on the continent.
And you have to. You've got to just seize those moments and enjoy them as much as you possibly can.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda. Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
A very good morning and many thanks for joining us once again, wherever you're catching us from. This is UBC TV and this is Good Morning Uganda. It's day 3 of the NAM Summit 2024 and we are alive again to make sure that we bring to you everything as it is transpiring from wherever it is in this country. 3 centers of attention: the International Airport, Speak Resort, Munyonyo, and of course also looking at Hotel Africana, but not only that, at the East African Business Forum, that is at the Kampala Serena Hotel, which is going to come to a closure as of today because that particular one was supposed to be running for 3 good days. But besides that also, what we do expect today, among us many of the rest, is we expect arrival of ministers and of course heads of delegation at the meeting of the foreign ministers, which is also taking place today, day 3 of the NAM Summit 2024. We are the official broadcasters of the particular summit and we've been taking you through day 1, day 2 until day 3 where we are. The ministerial meetings are going to be kicking off today, with which we shall be bringing you all of that. I'm Joram Paul Sonko and I'm here with the team, Good Morning Uganda, to make sure that you are inspired. And of course this time around we're not only inspiring Uganda, but we are making sure that we are inspiring the entire NAM, the non-aligned movement. We are holding the chairmanship for the next 3 years, from 2024 to 2027. You can diplomatically look at it as a way of us hosting this particular one, or holding the Secretariat chairmanship for maybe 2 or 3 years, if you're to put it in that way. Yesterday when I was interacting with Ambassador Henry Maiga, he did use a statement of a diplomatic coup with the mere fact that we've been able to hold these meetings from the Conference of the Speakers and Presiding Officers, which was held earlier on this year. Then moving further to the NAM Summit, we have the Business Forum, that is the Kampala Serena Hotel. Then also the Women in Agribusiness in Chigo. But not only that, we shall as well be having this the G77 Plus China Summit that will be coming up after the NAM Summit. But of course, as you're watching the national broadcaster, we shall be able to bring you every little detail of the same with analysis, and of course to make sure that you are up to speed with whatever is happening. Well, now it's time for me to get into context with the fact that we are here for day 3. But besides that, let me get to the team as well to see how they're doing, how their morning is, how their drive here has been. If I told yesterday they interrupted, or rather they were interrupted by the different delegates who are making their way to the various accommodations. Who knows? But first, I'll go to the immaculate Olive Monica Najuma. Good morning, Olive.
Good morning, Sonko. How are you this morning?
I am well. I'm doing okay. We're moving on to day 3. And,
yes.
I hope you're excited as I am.
I am excited, and like I mentioned yesterday, it is a good thing to see traffic police everywhere on the roads. My prayer, though, is that they may stay in even some places where there hasn't been security. For instance, we have all seen the footages, different footages from Uganda police of petty thieves that have been mugging people on different intersections, even here along the golf course around those traffic lights. So now from Monday, I've been seeing security over there, and my hope and prayer is that they may continue to make presence in these areas so that people are not mugged. And the funny bit is that they're not mugging people who are walking, because early morning, like at 4:30, 5:30, it's hardly pedestrians, it's mostly cars. So if you forget to lock your car, you might be a victim. One time I was almost a victim, but it's a good thing that we have security everywhere. And also it is exciting from the Business Forum that Uganda, we continue to learn that the country has more and more investment opportunities for investors that want to, bring money into our country, bring foreign currency into our country. And government, I like that the president, through the speech that was given by Vice President Jessica Lupo, government promised to go down and reduce the hurdles that comes with bureaucracy when it comes to investment in Uganda.
And well, for the viewers out there, you get to realize that Olive Monica Najuma and the amazing Chantal Oliver Kandinda seem to have understood the memo when the minister said we have to keep our smiles on for the visitors, and they added something to do with being smart and elegant for their days. And Monica, that's a very lovely coat or blazer. I don't know how I can put it.
Blazer, thank you.
Okay, it does seem like you're in the right path for becoming a delegate in the next summit, maybe. But let's get to Chantal Olive. Good morning, Olive.
Good morning, Sonko. How are you today? Day 3.
I am well.
And just to check in, according to your expectations, how has it been for you?
Well, my expectations are
when you talk about
highly on day 3, because I'm waiting for the arrival of the presidents that will be coming. And mainly the ministers also. Not ruling out the fact that the other officials who are here as well were important, but my attention is moving to that side, because I remember on the days of Chogam,
well, we all know what's most important. But what you're saying, we all know what's most important. But good morning, our viewers. Thank you for being with us this morning. And of course, the broadcast happens here on UBC Television. Thank you for joining us. My name is Chantal Olive Akandinda, and welcome to the show.
Wow, indeed, welcome to the show. Now let's get to the seasoned Robert Chirabo Nyonyi Ntono, who is also here. All filled up with the smiles. If you did happen to hear the music he was listening to just before we went on air,
he's smiling like the minister.
The minister recommended we smile because we have visitors.
Obviously.
Robert is doing a wonderful job.
But we need to keep the smiles going till the end.
Actually, the reason I'm smiling is not because of what the minister said, but because of the business, the East Africa Business and Investment Forum. I had this question at the back of my mind that government is investing so much in this NAM. Knowing how NAM operates, the host country really invests a lot. Now, my question was, how are we going to recoup this money for sure? And on the other side, we've had other Ugandans finding conveniences. For For example, the border industry not working in some areas. Some people's businesses have been disorganized and all that. Some had to make expenditures. So I was asking myself, but yesterday, when I was hearing a number of speakers at this forum, talking about Uganda being a very fertile land for investment, also the managing director of NSSF coming up and telling the NAM movement guests that, look here, there is so much potential. You can partner with NSSF in the real estate business. So I was seeing so much potential and opportunity that maybe we are going to be able to recoup directly, because we believe by the end of this forum today, there will be deals closed. And maybe also in the long run, people will come and invest in this country. And above all, you know, we made history. This is the first time we are having the NAM forum running, and then there is a business forum the other side. So it is the first of its kind in the entire history of the non-aligned movement in since its establishment. And I hope if this continues, then it's going to be a very good way of looking at the economies of these countries, of which many are third world countries, and collaborating with the debt.
And other than that, you know, Uganda happens to be the first East African country to host the Non-Aligned Movement Summit. The first East African country.
Goes back to the other statement of the diplomatic coup that Uganda is actually holding the marathons here.
I like that. Yeah.
But anyways, later on in the show, as we go along, we shall be expounding more on the business forum and looking deeper into the details as well. But first, let's get into some of our local news that we gathered for you here on Good Morning Uganda.
And we'll begin with exactly what you've just been talking about, where President Yoweri Museveni said Uganda is one of the best investment destinations in Africa. President Museveni, who was represented by the Vice President, retired Major Jessica Alupo at the East African Trade and Investment Forum in Kampala, said despite tough global economic times, the country has remained resilient and attractive to investors. Uganda is ranked top investment destination in Africa continent and guarantees investors value for money. Represented by the Vice President, Jessica Alupo, President Museveni highlighted Uganda's niche and diverse areas of investment. Finance Minister Matia Kasaija mentioned some of Uganda's global recognitions. Despite shocks such as COVID-19 pandemic and other external factors, Uganda's economy ranks among the fastest growing economies in the world and is projected to register a GDP growth of 6.0% in 2024. The development partners at the summit urged government to focus more on the niche sector or low-hanging fruits such as tourism and agriculture. Government of Uganda is undertaking significant reforms to streamline processes, reduce bureaucratic hurdles in business.
Away from that, on the day 2 of the Non-Aligned Movement Summit, more delegates continue to come through for the forum of 120 developing countries that are not formally aligned with or against any major power bloc. The presidential advisor on political affairs, Moses Byaluluhanga, stands fast on the benefits from this forum. The NAM Summit is a conference of leaders meeting, fostering dialogue, cooperation and mutual support. Uganda's membership to NAM plays a crucial role in promoting diplomatic independence and global cooperation. The country participates in discussions addressing key issues on peace, security, and sustainable development. Uganda, with its strategic location and economic potential, benefits from the NAM Summit by attracting investments and fostering business collaborations. Exploring some sectors in Uganda that are gaining attention from international investors attending the NAM Summit include agriculture, where Uganda's fertile land presents opportunities for agribusiness, offering a platform for sustainable food production and export. On renewable energy, the focus on clean energy aligns with global goals, making Uganda an attractive destination for investments in renewable energy projects. Meanwhile, tourism offered from the diverse landscapes and rich wildlife draws the attention of investors looking to capitalize on the growing tourism industry. So collaboration and partnerships during the summit will support shaping Uganda's economic future.
And now over to the judiciary. The Chief Justice Alfonso Unyidoro has called for collaborative efforts to fight corruption in the judiciary by always reporting corrupt judicial officers. Chief Justice communicated this during the swearing-in of magistrates at a function that took place at the judiciary headquarters in Kampala. 5 magistrates, including chief magistrates, took oath of office and confirmed as judiciary officers at the headquarters. During the swearing-in ceremony, Chief Justice Alfonso Unyidoro asked the public to join them in the fight against corruption in the judiciary and urged judicial officers to uphold transparency and adhere to the oath of office. The Deputy Chief Justice, Richard Butera, advised the magistrates to take each case important as they render justice to litigants and keep relationship with other government institutions. The principal judge, Dr. Flavia Nyenzija, urged the newly sworn-in magistrates to timely deliver rulings and judgments. Bakanasa Hilda Walaga, who represented the Chief Registrar, asked them to protect the image of the judiciary.
And moving on, the Fisheries Protection Unit of the UPDF has destroyed the confiscated 5 tons of premature fish at its detachment in Mwena, Kalangala district. The operation was carried out under the supervision of Unit Head Lieutenant Colonel Mercy Tukahira. An assortment of confiscated materials includes monofilament fishing nets, substandard fishing boats, and prematurely caught fish confiscated during operations, among other items. The unit is developing operational strategies to cope with dynamic fishermen who continually innovate new techniques for smuggling fishing materials on a daily basis. In addition to using force, the unit is embracing dialogue and sensitization efforts to educate fishermen on the consequences of illegal fishing practices. Lieutenant Colonel Mercy Tukahira, the head of Fisheries Protection in the UPDF, advocates for a collaborative approach to mobilize fisheries towards acquiring standard fishing materials. Operation commanders face challenges from hostile fishermen attempting to submerge them in the waters during operations. The operations were conducted at major landing sites of Mwena, Nakatiba and Lujabwa along Lake Victoria.
Well, that is it for local news this time round. Now let's head to the international scene with Chantal Olive Akandenda.
Well, internationally, we start off with the French football star Karim Benzema, who has filed a defamation lawsuit against France's interior minister for accusing him of having links with the Muslim Brotherhood, local media reported. Gerard Darmanin said in October that Mr. Benzema has a notorious link with a Sunni Muslim Islamist group. The comment undermines his honor and reputation, Mr. Benzema's lawyer said. The Muslim Brotherhood is banned in several countries, including Egypt, Russia, and Saudi Arabia. Mr. Darmanin's comment in October came after the player tweeted his support for the people of Gaza as victims again of unjust bombardments, which spared neither women nor children. Noting his failure to express similar sympathy for the estimated 1,300 Israeli victims that Hamas killed on 7th October, Mr. Darmanin said the former French striker was well known for his links with the Muslim Brotherhood. We are fighting the Hydra that is the Muslim Brotherhood because it creates an atmosphere of jihadism, the politician told conservative TV channel C News. Moving on, Pakistan has said 2 children were killed and 3 others injured after neighboring Iran launched airstrikes that Islamabad described as violation of its airspace. Pakistan said it had summoned Tehran's top diplomat in Islamabad over the incident. Social media accounts reported blasts in the mountainous province where two countries share a sparsely populated border nearly 1,000 kilometers long. This violation of Pakistan's sovereignty is completely unacceptable and can have serious consequences, Pakistan's foreign ministry said in a statement. It said the strike late on Tuesday resulted into death of 2 innocent children while injuring 3 girls. Iran's state media reported earlier that Tehran had targeted 2 bases of the armed group of Jaish al-Adl in Pakistan, with the IRN, a news agency, and state television saying missiles and drones were used in the strikes. Now coming back to Africa, a suspected Kenyan cult leader is to be charged with murder and terrorism over the death of more than 400 people found in mass graves, prosecutors say. Paul Mackenzie was arrested in April after the discovery of hundreds of bodies, some of whom were said to have starved themselves to death. Kenyan prosecutors say that he and 94 others will be charged in court in Malindi on Wednesday. The self-proclaimed pastor has denied responsibility for the deaths. The bodies of 429 people, including children, have been dug up from grave sites in Shakahola, a remote forest about 2 hours' drive west of Malindi. Most showed signs of starvation, but some, children among them, may have been assaulted. Mr. Mackenzie is alleged to have encouraged members of his Good News International Church to move there and prepare for the end of the world. Now, lastly, speaking matters climate, Tuesday could be the coolest January night since 2010. The Met Office has warned temperatures may drop to freezing lows of 15 degrees Celsius in parts of Scotland, according to the forecaster. Bitter conditions and significant snowfall have already forced schools to shut in Scotland and northern England and sparked travel disruptions. Yellow warnings for ice and snow are in force in all 4 UK nations before possible stormy weather this weekend. By the end of Friday, more than 40 centimeters of snow may be seen on high ground in northwest Scotland as wintry weather continues, the Met Office has forecast. Snow, sleet and rain are expected to continue blanketing northern parts of the UK, though there will be some sunshine. Heavy frosts and freezing conditions are likely across virtually the entire country, with experts warning of treacherous pavements and roads. Well, that is it for what is happening across the world and, of course, also in matters climate.
Well, now let's talk matters press review as we start with our dailies here in Uganda. The New Vision with the headline, Bobi Wine Besigye Forge Alliance, General Mugisha Muntu, part of the coalition for 2026. You can read about that in the New Vision today. Then in the corruption scandals, 4 district bosses charged over abuse of office. Then the UPDF, 5 generals, 159 officers to retire. Then in the aspect of polygamy, Church of Uganda priest suspended over husband is marriage. Interesting report. Then Katanga case, DPP wants to amend application. Then the NAM Business Summit opens, pictorial of the Vice President at the summit as 2 nominated EC commissioners dropped. Read about that in today's New Vision. Moving forward, we head to Kenya with the Daily Nation as Kenya's troubles with neighbors, regional ties, latest row with Dar es Salaam resolved within 2 days. Read about that. Club party before death, 10 people, including owner of a nightclub and hospital guards, squeezed over doctor's killing. Then teacher versus student, inside LSK battle for male representative at the JSC. As Ruto, Raila clash over judiciary's call for dialogue. Then also, there is an interesting report in regards to are you struggling with childhood trauma? Read about that. Then in the US polls, big win in Iowa moves Trump closer to a Joe Biden rematch. Then also there is a report on man arrested at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport over brutal killing of woman at a city estate. As in tribute for NIBS founder Lizzie Wanyoke, the fear of the village and its debilitating poverty set her for greatness. That is something that you can look out for in the Daily Nation. Well, of course, now you're still watching Good Morning Uganda. As we're heading into a break, our focus now turns to our inspirational song of the day. But before that, this particular one is taking us to the African Cup of Nations that is being held in Cote d'Ivoire. And also, before you forget, we are also broadcasting those particular matches here on UBC. Every day at 11 p.m. you can definitely catch a game here. And of course, once the knockout games kick off, we shall be able to broadcast to you these particular matches. So keep your eyes locked here on your national broadcaster. And of course, this particular one is coming in from Magic Siste as well as Yemi Alade for this particular theme song of AFCON 2023.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Chairmanship for the next 3 years from 2024 to 2027. You can diplomatically look at it as a way of us hosting this particular one or holding the Secretariat chairmanship for maybe 2 or 3 years, if you're to put it in that way. Yesterday, when I was interacting with Ambassador Henry Maiga, he did use a statement of a diplomatic coup with the mere fact that we've been able to hold these meetings from the Conference of the Speakers and Presiding Officers, which was held earlier on this year. Then moving further to the NAM Summit, we have the Business Forum, that is the Kampala Serena Hotel. Then also the Women in Agribusiness in Chigo. But not only that, we shall as well be having this the G77 Plus China Summit that will be coming up after the NAM Summit. But of course, as you're watching the national broadcaster, we shall be able to bring you every little detail of the same with analysis, and of course to make sure that you are up to speed with whatever is happening. Well, now it's time for me to get into context with the fact that we are here for day 3. But besides that, let me get to the team as well to see how they're doing, how their morning is, how their drive here has been. If I told yesterday they interrupted, or rather they were interrupted by the different delegates who are making their way to the various accommodations. Who knows? But first, I'll go to the immaculate Olive Monica Najuma. Good morning, Olive.
Good morning, Sonko. How are you this morning?
I am well. I'm doing okay. We're moving on to day 3. And,
yes.
I hope you're excited as I am.
I am excited, and like I mentioned yesterday, it is a good thing to see traffic police everywhere on the roads. My prayer, though, is that they may stay in even some places where there hasn't been security. For instance, we have all seen the footages, different footages from Uganda police of petty thieves that have been mugging people on different intersections, even here along the golf course around those traffic lights. So now from Monday, I've been seeing security over there, and my hope and prayer is that they may continue to make presence in these areas so that people are not mugged. And the funny bit is that they're not mugging people who are walking, because early morning, like at 4:30, 5:30, it's hardly pedestrians, it's mostly cars. So if you forget to lock your car, you might be a victim. One time I was almost a victim, but it's a good thing that we have security everywhere. And also it is exciting from the Business Forum that Uganda, we continue to learn that the country has more and more investment opportunities for investors that want to, bring money into our country, bring foreign currency into our country. And government, I like that the president, through the speech that was given by Vice President Jessica Lupo, government promised to go down and reduce the hurdles that comes with bureaucracy when it comes to investment in Uganda. And
well, for the viewers out there, you get to realize that Olive Monica Najuma and the Amazing. Chantal Oliver Kandinda seemed to have understood the memo when the minister said we have to keep our smiles on for the visitors, and they added something to do with being smart and elegant for their days. And Monica, that's a very lovely coat or blazer. I don't know how I can put it.
Blazer, thank you.
Okay, it does seem like you're in the right path for becoming a delegate in the next summit, maybe. But let's get to Chantal Olive. Good morning, Olive.
Good morning, Sonko. How are you today? Day 3.
I am well.
And just to check in, according to your expectations, how has it been for you?
Well, my expectations are
when you talk about
highly on day 3, because I'm waiting for the arrival of the presidents that will be coming. And mainly the ministers also. Not ruling out the fact that the other officials who are here as well were important, but my attention is moving to that side, because I remember on the days of Chogam,
well, we all know what's most important. But what you're saying, we all know what's most important. But good morning, our viewers. Thank you for being with us this morning. And of course, the broadcast happens here on UBC Television. Thank you for joining us. My name is Chantal Olive Akandinda, and welcome to the show.
Wow, indeed. Well, the chairmanship for the next 3 years, from 2024 to 2027. You can diplomatically look at it as a way of us hosting this particular one, or holding the Secretariat chairmanship for maybe 2 or 3 years, if you're to put it in that way. Yesterday, when I was interacting with Ambassador Henry Maiga, he did use a statement of a diplomatic coup, with the mere fact that we've been able to hold these meetings from the Conference of the Speakers and Presiding Officers, which was held. Very good morning again, and many thanks for sticking around to Good Morning Uganda. And now we're here for our newsreel, and this time around focusing on the first 2 days of the NAM Summit. The theme for the NAM Summit 2024 is deepening cooperation for global affluence, and of course this is something that we look at for shared global affluence. Rather, it is something that we are looking at as a bigger opportunity for Uganda to cooperate with all the other member states that are here in the country. We are in for day 3, and of course as we are heading into day 3, where the ministerial meetings are going to be kicking off, and we expect quite a number of arrivals as of today, of which we shall as well be giving you more updates of the same. But for all of you who have been part of us from the day we started this particular broadcast to the day we are here now, you get to realize that till the end of the summit and at the start of the G77 summit, we shall be here to make sure that we give you all of that coverage so that you don't miss a thing. Studio with me now, I'm joined with Chirabo Robert Nyonyintono, as we're going to be discussing these matters and furthermore looking at the highlights of the first 2 days, out of which the first 2 days saw 2 committees being created, one which was the political committee and then the second was the Economic and Social Affairs Committee. And these were committees that were created for the officials, or for the official meetings that were being discussed. And of course, closed door meetings were taking place even yesterday. And later on, as the summit will be concluding, we shall be getting to see the final draft of the document that will have come out in regards to the issues that have been raised at hand. You can join the conversations, of course, using the hashtag NAMSummitUG 2024. That is on the X app. Do not miss a thing. Share an opinion in regards to your observations as well, and keep up to speed with the NAM Summit here with UBC. Now, Robert, good morning again.
Lovely morning to you, brother.
Looking at the past 2 days, you get to realize that most of it has been meetings. Obviously, we do not expect more of the same. Discussions are highly expected. Issues are highly expected to be tabled, of which the day two, so many issues tabled, and indoor closure meetings were taking place. Take us through back to the first 2 days of the summit.
First, I want to say the first 2 days have been a success of the summit, much as most of day two was a bit so closed, plenary, and of course members working these committees. You know, the way NAM operates is unique in its way, that much as many may look at the head of states or governments converging, but it works in 3 phases. The senior officials committee is very, very important. Actually, many want to refer to it as the technical committee, because actually it is what gives the actual work that is going to be done. Now, the 2 days they have been meeting, it is where issues are discussed, are tabled properly, then their report is submitted to the Council of Ministers, what we will call ministers meeting, but the Council of Ministers, to scrutinize what has come out of the senior officials.
Plenary sittings,
meetings, their draft, because now they're working on that final Kampala draft.
That will be declared.
That will be declared. But they're doing, I don't want to use the word donkey work, but they're the ones that do the actual
paperwork,
the negotiations. Then when they pass to the ministers that are going to sit there, sitting beginning today, they are looking at this document by this council.
The draft document.
The draft document. They scrutinize it. They look at some maybe that has to be eliminated or wholly adapt it. And then after scrutiny and discussing it, they present that document to the heads of states or the presidents that will be coming on. Still, it is that very document scrutinized by the Council of Ministers that goes to the presidents to look through, and if they approve everything or feel something has to be left out, then the final document, the final draft, is what we shall call the Kampala Declaration.
Okay.
So it is just one feeding into the other. Now, that is why we've been seeing that, for example, yesterday, plenary session of these committees, it is business, media, not there, because it is high-level discussions. Here, technical brains, senior government officials from the 120 countries that have been represented. That is why we saw issues like some members from Arab states were saying no. When we were in Baku Fine, we discussed a number of these things. Then also there was a follow-up in December because they were sending this review to look at what they will be focusing on. But they said much as the Palestinian issue had been covered, there were other emerging issues technically that they felt had to be captured, because they chose not to reopen the document and do everything, because they believed it had been well presented to everybody. They had read through it, they had understood it, so they wanted to redo quite, and that was brought by the chair of the council of the meeting of the senior officials, Ambassador Adonia Ayebale, who is Uganda's permanent representative to the United Nations, who was elected unopposed, because Uganda nominated him and no one rose a hand opposing that. So he became the chair of the senior officials meeting. So at that level, that is where we expect that. So basically why I'm calling it a success is that we've not had hiccups of any nature.
True.
When we look at security, it has been very peaceful, and so far you must say it is all going well. Other technical issues still you will see. So far I don't see any encumbrance that you can look at and say, first I was worried with communication, because you would hear about the chairman then saying, by the time we come back, we believe sound would be settled, would be worked on properly. You know, those small things are what sometimes media, international media, clings on to maybe water down or show that there has been certain things. But by and large, it has been, the first 2 days have been a success.
Chira, I want us to look at also during his opening remarks, the Minister General J.J. Odong focused on multilateralism as well as solidarity for the member states to face their challenges, of which he mentioned most of the challenges, the terrorism part of it in some of the countries. He mentioned food insecurity, health, when it comes to the health pandemics and the likes. When you look at what he mentioned, the solidarity, how important is this for the member states?
You know, going back the line of history, NAM was formed, one and most important is to have solidarity. When you talk about the likes of Nkwame Nkrumah, Nehru, Nasser of Egypt, because they were Egypt, we had Indonesia, Yugoslavia, India, and Ghana. Now, these countries decided to come together in solidarity and have a voice against imperialism, decolonization, and other factors. Because at this time, when the Second World War just ended, there emerged the Cold War. Now, they said we will not support any of the superpowers, the Soviet Union, neither the United States of America. I won't go for capitalism, won't go for socialism. For us, we have our problems
that we need
but
to
individually, we may end up being recolonized.
True. Through the arguments.
Through this, because you've chosen to take no side. So we are vulnerable. But when we unite together, we are a formidable force. And I want to tell you, when you look at how apartheid in South Africa was brought to an end, you see that this level of solidarity is what worked. Now, by then it was issues of colonization. Today, these are not the issues. They're not the very issues. Despite the fact that there's neo-colonialism, despite the fact that these are independent states and sometimes the Western powers dictate over situations. But the problems today could be wars. You know? The problems today are the high debts that they are choking on these countries. The problems today are the huge youth burden, unemployed, of poor value. You know, if you have a low quantity, you must have both quantity and quality. Now, most of African countries, or these countries under the NAM movement, have quantity but not quality youth. So, these
quantities
problems
in the population.
Yes, they have very many. They boast of a young population. We have the youth.
But even the unemployment levels
But
are
when
high.
you look at the quality of these youth, they are unemployed. They contribute little, if any, to the country's economy. How many youth are having industries and employing people?
But I think these are also some of the things that need to be really addressed.
And these you may not address them as a single person.
You need to
as a single country.
True.
Collectively, that even when you bring your stance, you're listened to because you're many. Second, with solidarity amongst you, you can address your challenges. You can say, what is it that Uganda is having in plenty? Now, if Uganda we are having coffee, exporting it in raw form, how can the global south that is better than us. Help us add value to this coffee. We export coffee in the final stages, not exporting our beans, then someone adds value, then comes and sells it again to us. How can we within ourselves solve our problems? If Uganda is rich in agriculture and maybe another country is rich in technology, say India, very advanced in technology, how can you come home and help Uganda? You know, in those times, we had a lot of things here that were coming. You've sold so much to us. Can you come and help us also be able to manufacture so that we reduce on our imports and improve on our exports? How can we economic solidarity?
As the member states.
As the member states. Because there is potential. Now, when we go to political solidarity, as member states, if you're a bloc of 120 countries, you know, if you're looking at an issue, like one of the issues that is really going to be discussed here, international media is so much interested, is the Palestinian issue. So, how, in the midst of all sorts of discussions, some countries not coming out very clear, if there is a single voice that NAM countries have all agreed, you know, we may not have these weapons and all that, but boycotts or something like that. So solidarity was the reason and the fundamental principle to push NAM forward. Yes. And it's still, much as the reasons by then during the formation may have differed a bit, but even the current times, solidarity can greatly move things and improve the economics of these countries, but also the politics in these countries.
Well, also at during the NAM summit, you get to realize that we are also having two other summits that are taking place. There's the Women in Agribusiness that was taking place, that is in Chigo. But then also today is day 3 and final day of the East African Business Forum, of which yesterday the Vice President, on behalf of the President, was there to officially open that forum, which was in day 2, but the official opening was meant to be done by the President. And of course, as the Vice President was there, there are lots of highlights within the presidential speech as presented by the Vice President, that is Excellency Jessica Alupo. When you look at some of the key issues within this particular speech, Chirabo, the President highly focused on the issue to do with cooperation, something that he looked at as the bedrock, or because looking at the fact that trade and investment is the bedrock of development, according to him, and it's something that we need to prioritize. Let's also get into that particular one.
Well, first you must understand why did Uganda government, because this was organized by the private sector foundation, through the government of Uganda, or with support from the government of Uganda. Now, why did we have this East African business forum and trade exhibition, or investment and trade exhibition at the Serena? What was the initial purpose? The issue was that as we are having these political heads come to Uganda, and they are going to be discussing a number of issues, as the business community, let's tap into this opportunity. That you're having delegations from all over these countries, and many of these may be politicians, but also in business, also investors. So how do you use this opportunity? And it's the first of its kind since the establishment of the non-aligned movement. Now, that is why we saw that government wanted people in the private sector to showcase what they have. That as these guests, and many were invited strictly for that. There are over 100 world-renowned business people that were invited, banks globally that were invited and they were there, investors in different fields that were invited, government did, and they turned up. So as the business, the private sector was showcasing and trying to move around to crack deals, even government was showing opportunities that government of Uganda has put in place for those willing to invest in Uganda. That is why the Minister of State for Investment, Evelyn Anite, was telling you that for us, if you're coming in Uganda to invest, there's already free land. If you're coming in Uganda to invest, we have these tax incentives for investors. You know, if you're coming to Uganda, trying to sell Uganda, to use this opportunity to sell Uganda, the Minister for Energy, Honorable Ruth Nankabirwa, showing potentials of the minerals we have, what you can invest in. Why would you choose Uganda to be the country for you to invest in a world where most third world countries are competing for investors? So it was basically selling Uganda to the world and letting them know that don't invest anywhere else. Uganda is the best destination because, one, there is peace and security, but also government has put for you specific benefits that maybe you may not find anywhere else if you come to invest in our country. Now, and these other people was the private sector, so it was to a government giving you the path, and then the private sector also doing their side business. So when the president calls for cooperation, I'll take an example that the managing director of NSSF, Iota, came out and said, no, as NSSF we are saying, we've been in the real estate sector for quite some time. But now, if you're an investor, bring your money. We also partner with you. For example, it's saying, come and invest in a real estate. But you're not telling only you to invest your money. NSSF, maybe let it contribute at 10% in this business. Let it contribute at 5% in this business. So that even you, the investor, one, you feel secured, that I'm not, in case of anything, I'm not losing out, but also Ugandans benefit by having shares into that. So it was all about, and this is all about cooperation. So the president knows very well, and that's why he has been key in looking for markets in the East African community, pushing it, looking at these big populations and saying, if we work together, if we cooperate, you know, if you're one poor person on the village, you getting rich may be hard. But if many poor people come together and they bring their ideas, the little they have, one says I have few cows, one says may I have land, but I have no potential, the other says I have someone who can give us machinery, they'll end up developing themselves.
True.
So I want to relate this to what government is doing today, that they are saying youth are there, here is money for you. The elderly, here is a grant for you. Come in groups. So here it is, let's use this group we have to develop ourselves economically. That is why the business and investment and trade exhibition is at Serena, Kampala, and the Women in Business Forum is at Serena, Chigo.
And well, of course, the president further elaborated on the issue to do with collaboration. Said that this is the opportunity where investors and the private sector should come together and realize that there is a lot of potential to partner with the foreign investors. The idea here goes to the foreign investors. And further, this showed that, according to the president, Uganda being able to host the business forum on the sidelines of the NAM summit was further to show the government's efforts to ensure that there is support to the private sector to see the growth within the SEM. And for those of you who are watching, our main focus this particular morning is looking at day 1 and day 2 of the summit, that is the NAM summit, but also putting our focus onto the other summits that were also taking place at the same time. Day 3 of the East Africa Business Forum is today. That is at the Kampala Serena Hotel. That one was slated to run for 3 days. As the NAM Summit is going in for 5, the other one is running in for 3, rather for 6. As the NAM Summit is running in for 6, this one is running in for 3. But besides that, as we're continuing to give you the focus points or the highlights and the entire preview of the SEM, also we are to remind you that here on UBC, day 3 is also going to be live here. As the ministerial meetings kick off, we are as well going to be showing you the arrivals, or will keep our eyes onto the Entebbe International Airport to show you and bring you up to speed with the arrivals of the different delegates, the different ministers, and of course the different heads of state that will be making their way to the country. And Cherabo, as we're summing up with our conversation, looking at day 3, what should the viewers expect, and what else are we expecting as we go forward with the NAM Summit?
Well, day 3, like I earlier said, they're going to be looking at what the senior officials drafted and came up with, scrutinized it, discussed that. They'll have also plenaries, and then this will be submitted to the heads of state. So it is basically more of plenary sessions, not so much apart from the opening when that happens. We are now going to witness their arrival. Then after the arrival to the venue, they will sit like it was on day 1. They have their opening remarks. And then they'll go to business.
Oh, okay.
Business. But for me, what when Honorable J.J. Odong was opening, he appealed to the visitors that please do not restrain yourself to only the venue of the meeting. Try and move around. Me, I'm so much interested in any opportunity
that is going to arise from the summit.
That is going to arise from this summit by these guests. We should ensure that once they have come to Uganda, they would love to return and indeed return. And we should make sure to create more opportunity for them to spend more in Uganda
during these 2 weeks.
To spend now that the summit is going on, and also even after, so that they can come back and spend more, because much as they are long term, because long term, we are looking at the outcomes or the fruits of what happened and what is running at the Serena and Chigo. That is long term. Much as there is short term where you could see the roads, the infrastructure, that is all for us. But in long term, we must ensure that there is continuity in what we can milk.
All right.
Out of every guest that arrives.
And of course, we do expect more of the same to be coming up on day 3. Just a quick one from the activities of day 3. From 8:30 to 9 o'clock, we expect arrival of ministers and heads of delegation for the meeting of foreign ministers. The holding room for that will be the Chidepo Hall. Then furthermore, official group photograph of ministries and heads of delegation. That will be from 9 o'clock to 9:20, only 20 minutes of the same. From 9:30 to 10 a.m., the opening ceremony of the NAM ministerial meeting. And that is something that will be definitely bringing to you up to speed with the same. So our newsreel comes to an end currently now. Coming up shortly is the UBC Good Morning Uganda Tourism Express, and Alan is already here to make sure that she keeps you up to speed with what is happening from the world of tourism. Stick around.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Everyone to the biggest game on the continent.
And you've got to just seize those moments and enjoy them as much as you possibly can.
Juko. Yo. Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, it is real. deal. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Joko, I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
UBC is the national public broadcaster. We educate, inform, entertain, and inspire our audiences. You can watch us on free-to-air channel 001, DSTV channel 282, GoTV channel 371, Star Times channel 201, Zuku TV channel 20, and Azam TV channel 350. Even when your subscription expires, you can still watch UBC for free on your pay TV platforms.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
A very good morning to all our viewers. Welcome to the GME Tourism Express. I am Irene Allen Namisang, Uganda Uncovered. Like we unveil everything that is there about Uganda's tourism. I unveil and bring to you the hidden gems that you shouldn't miss out on Uganda when you're traveling in Uganda or having a safari in Uganda. These are some of the spots that you shouldn't miss on your itinerary. And then, you know, surprising is that some of these places, however common or however known they could be, you find that some of the itineraries do not even include them. But now, like, how could you come to Uganda and miss out going to Jinja? How can you come to Uganda and miss out going to Makshon Falls National Park? Like, there are these places that we need to highlight and give them a special shine to show that Uganda is indeed the pearl of Africa. And then in so many, out of the so many reasons that we do this, one of them is to make you learn about your country, like you learn about Uganda's tourism. You get to know which destinations can you go to, which attractions you need to see, where could you sleep, what do you need to do, and then to also inspire you to travel your country or travel and come explore Uganda. Like, if you've not been to the Pearl of Africa, which place or which country do you want to explore? Because, okay, yes, there are so many beautiful countries, so many beautiful places around the world, but Uganda is unique to itself. Like, there are so many unique things you're going to find here, and that is why we come here to share the unique beauty, and we inspire you to travel somewhere in the Pearl of Africa. And thirdly, to also make like you proud to be here. If you're Ugandan, you need to be proud of being Ugandan because you're born in the Pearl of Africa. Like, all the beauty and the first son calls it the jewel of the world. Like, you're born here in the jewel of the world, and you need to be proud. But even our visitors who come to the country, you need to be proud that, yes, I was here, I was in Uganda, and I visited the Pearl of Africa. Well, it being the NAM week and having so many conferences going on, we have several international tourist arrivals, and we talk about Uganda's tourism. Like, we share to see that we take you around Uganda and we could inspire you or motivate you to travel around. Maybe you have a day, you spare one day before you travel back and explore what we have in the country. And this week we've been particularly taking you around places that you could visit and explore and have a full blossom of that place in just a day. And today we are going to take you around one special place, and that is the Buganda Kingdom. We are going to explore Buganda's rich heritage. Like, Uganda is a rich cultural country. We have over 50 tribes in the country, and one of the dominant tribes in that country, that is Buganda Kingdom. Personally, I'm in Uganda, and you know, Buganda, we are all Ugandans by nation, but we are distinguished by tribes. The Bagandas, the Basogas, Banyankole, like so many tribes. But today we are specifically talking about the Buganda Kingdom. Now, when you're traveling or exploring Buganda Kingdom, it has so many attractions that you shouldn't miss as you're exploring. And the beauty is, it is in the central region here in Kampala. So even if you just have half a day, you can explore a part of the attractions. And one of them is the palace, the Kabaka's Palace. This was constructed in 1992. And when you look at the palace, this is Buganda is one of the oldest kingdoms in Africa. It backs then like about 900 years. And then you find that this palace is where the king, it is the major palace of the king. However much he has so many other palaces, but this is the major one. But he doesn't sleep here, but it dates back to 1992. And it was constructed by King David Ichwa, who was so traveled in the European countries, where he copied the design and brought it back. Now, this king is special because he also introduced the girl child education in Buganda Kingdom, because back then the girls used not to go to school, but when he came back after traveling in so many countries, he realized that there are some women who were very dominant in those countries, and he came back and introduced the girl child education. But our reigning king is Kabaka Ronald Muwenda Mutebi Mutesa II. And he has so many titles, but the most prominent one is Sabasajja, which means that he's a man above all men. So when you're here, you get to listen to all these stories. Like, I cannot finish all the stories, but the King's Palace is one place that you should visit. At the King's Palace, there are also the torture chambers. Like, these were Idi Amin's torture chambers, and it is said that over 25,000 people elites were killed from here. Like, to Idi Amin, if you are elite, you were a threat to him, that you're so knowledgeable than him, and you were threatening him. So you could just kill them, all the elites. And in the torture chambers, there are words like Idi Amin onzise naye abana bange, meaning that Idi Amin, you've killed me, but what about my kids? So this brings back so many memories, and it still feels like recent. When we had a trip there, we had someone with us, and she felt like it was so recent. Some of her people were killed from there. But another attraction still in the Buganda Kingdom, there is the Bulange Parliament. This is not the national parliament, but this is a parliament specifically to the Bagandas. That is where the laws that govern the Baganda are made. Mostly the issues, all those that are made here are about the land, because that is the major source of income in the Buganda Kingdom. So the parliament is also another attraction that you need to visit and see what stories are run here. Like, the place is amazing. But also, just in front of the parliament, there is a monument of the reigning king standing on one leg, which means that the kingdom is moving forward. Like, there is so much. That story is amazing. So the Bulange Parliament and the palace, they are just 1 mile away from each other in a straight line. And this mile is not just the normal miles, it is a royal mile. So when you're walking in the royal mile, the road is bordered with 56 monuments of the clans, representing the 56 clans of Buganda, because in Buganda we are distinguished with the clans where we come from. And by the way, you don't have a choice of a clan where you belong, because the moment you're born, you definitely just inherit the clan of your dad or your father, so you don't have an option. And then these clans are taboos, you're not supposed to eat them. The clans could be plants, animals, insects, water, like so many things that could take up to be your clans. And in this royal mile, there is something unique. There is a roundabout, but it is always closed. It is only the king who passes in the middle of that roundabout. It is called, in Uganda, it is called Nantawetwa, meaning that the king doesn't bend or go around, because he is always straight when he's making his decisions. So it is only the king who passes in the middle. So when he's passing, they open up the gates, he passes, and then they close them. No one else is supposed to pass in the middle of that Nantawetwa roundabout. So it has symbols of the long drum, and so that is how you differentiate it from all other monuments. But still in Buganda, when you do also that royal mile, you get different stories. Why is it called Kabaka and Jagala? Like, there are so many stories, and when you're here, you just get to know how Buganda Kingdom was built, like how the inheritance of the kings, what is happening in the kingdom, which king started up maybe the first palace. Like you visit the Kabaka's lake, it is the largest man-made lake in Uganda actually. Like Buganda Kingdom just has a lot for you. You need to taste the luwombo that is prepared here. You have like a lot, just spare a day or at least 5 hours and visit Buganda Kingdom. Well, that is it that we had for you about Buganda Kingdom. And for the travel tip today, I'm going to emphasize this point. Please make sure as you're traveling or exploring Uganda that you buy a souvenir. Souvenirs here are unique to Uganda. Like I told you, Uganda is amazingly unique to itself. So the souvenirs you buy here, you could never find them anywhere else because they are crafted by our very people here, by women here and maybe children here. And then when you buy a souvenir, you not only buy a remembrance for a destination that you visited, but you also support the local economy. And just one souvenir that you buy here, you never know, you could be sending back like 5 children back to school. So just support the local economy, buy a souvenir, and go back to your place, showing off that, yes, I was in the Pearl of Africa. Thank you so much. I am Irene Alena Misango. Catch you tomorrow.
Good morning to you once again. Thank you for staying with us. It's time for us to take a look at what is happening in the world of business here at Good Morning Uganda. Please do note that a lot is happening amidst the NAM Summit. And well, we do have some stories that we would like to share with you when it comes in respect to NAM now. Yesterday, as you all know, actually on the first day, as you all know, we were talking about the women in agribusiness, and today we are talking about empowerment of women, and that is women in the NAM countries. So women in the non-aligned movement countries are advocating for formalization of the women platform in the non-aligned movement summit, through which to get involved in decision making. Well, we have seen women take the lead role in certain cases, and this could be and is a good place for women. And while addressing the media on the Side Women Forum organized to take place in Kampala, the Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development, that is Honorable Betty Amongi, said what they are looking at is education, economic empowerment, and getting rid of social norms that lead to discrimination amongst women. And well, this is a song that has been sung for quite some time, and we believe, especially because the non-aligned movement is majorly comprised of countries that are, that are developing, and you would ideally see that this is a great move for the countries that are looking to make life better for not just the country but for the women. And away from that, as we all do know, yesterday the East Africa Trade and Investment Forum that was held at the Serena Chigo was happening, or was taking place, and the President of the Republic of Uganda, through the Vice President, had a message for us. And well, according to President Yoweri Museveni, says Uganda is one of the best investment destinations in Africa. And President Museveni was represented by the Vice President, retired Major Jessica Alupo, at the East Africa Trade and Investment Forum in Kampala, and says despite the tough global economic times, the country has remained resilient and attractive to investors. Uganda is ranked top investment destination in the African continent and guarantees investors value for money. Represented by the Vice President Jessica Lupo at the East African Trade and Investment Forum, President Museveni highlights Uganda's niche and diverse area of investment. Finance Minister Matia Kasaija mentioned some of Uganda's global recognitions
And despite shocks such as the COVID-19 pandemic and other external factors, Uganda's economy ranks among the fastest growing economies and is projected to register a GDP growth of 6.0% in 2024. The development partners at the summit urged government to focus more on niche sectors or low-hanging fruits such as tourism and agriculture. And of course, government of Uganda is undertaking significant reforms to streamline processes to reduce bureaucratic hurdles that could be affecting the business community in our country. Well, it matters now. That is how far we have come, and we believe that by the time this summit is done, we are going to be in a better place. And of course, we are going to be seeing even reforms when it comes to business. Well, that's it for business stories, but let's first cross over and check how are we standing by closure of business yesterday. If you are looking to trade, and if you have some dollars or shillings, maybe Tanzanian or Kenyan shillings, and you're looking for how we are trading this very morning, let's take a look and see. As of closure of business yesterday, the US opened at when you were buying at 3,800, selling at 3,801 shillings, and by midday we had it at 3,800. That is buying, and if you're selling, you're still selling at 3,810. But by closure of business yesterday, when we were up by, you would be buying at 3,802 and selling at 3,812. And the Great Britain pound was buying at 4,820, selling at 4,833. And by closure of business, the euro was buying at 4,150, selling at 4,161. Kenya shillings closing at 23 shillings buying and selling at 23.78 selling. And then Tanzanian shilling
earlier on this year. Then moving further to the NAM Summit, we have the Business Forum, that is the Kampala Serena Hotel. Then also the Women in Agribusiness in Chigo. But not only that, we shall as well be having this the G77 Plus China Summit that will be coming up after the NAM Summit. But of course, as you're watching the national broadcaster, we shall be able to bring you every little detail of the same with analysis, and of course to make sure that you are up to speed with whatever is happening. Well, now it's time for me to get into context with the fact that we are here for day 3. But besides that, let me get to the team as well to see how they're doing, how their morning is, how their drive here has been. If I told yesterday they interrupted, or rather they were interrupted by the different delegates who are making their way to the various accommodations. Who knows? But first, I'll go to the immaculate Olive Monica Najima. Good morning, Olive.
Good morning, Sonko. How are you this morning?
I am well. I'm doing okay. We're moving on to day 3. And,
yes.
I hope you're excited as I am.
I am excited, and like I mentioned yesterday, it is a good thing to see traffic police everywhere on the roads. My prayer, though, is that they may stay in even some places where there hasn't been security. For instance, we have all seen the footages, different footages from Uganda police of petty thieves that have been mugging people on different intersections, even here along the golf course around those traffic lights. So now from Monday, I've been seeing security over there, and my hope and prayer is that they may continue to make presence in these areas so that people are not mugged. And the funny bit is that they're not mugging people who are walking, because early morning, like at 4:30, 5:30, it's hardly pedestrians, it's mostly cars. So if you forget to lock your car, you might be a victim. One time I was almost a victim, but it's a good thing that we have security everywhere. And also it is exciting from the business forum that Uganda, we continue to learn that the country has more and more investment opportunities for investors that want to, bring money into our country, bring foreign currency into our country. And government, I like that the president, through the speech that was given by Vice President Jessica Lupo, government promised to go down and reduce the hurdles that comes with bureaucracy when it comes to investment in Uganda.
And well, for the viewers out there, you get to realize that Olive Monica Najuma and the amazing Shatal Oliver Kandinda seem to have understood the memo when the minister said we have to keep our smiles on for the visitors, and they added something to do with being smart and elegant for their days. And Monica, that's a very lovely coat or blazer. I don't know how I can put it.
Blazer, thank you.
Okay, it does seem like you're in the right path for becoming a delegate in the next summit, maybe. But let's get to